Well, here's my official warning. I was making my videos restricted to restricted, and then I was warned by the keeper of the comic crypt in Castle Hills in San Antonio that that's not the way to do it. That keeps people from having the videos recommended to them, and that some people can't put it in playlists. So and when I went back, what I had done, because I was worried about all these things I'd heard about the Copa, whatever it is, Copacabana, and they said, so what I did is you have to, when you put up a video, you have to put yes, it's made for kids, or no, it's not made for kids. So I put no, it's not made for kids, and then I checked no, restrict it to people over 18 or something. And when I went back and checked my settings, when you click no, restrict the audience, it cancels that you've written that it's not for kids. So I had to go back and I reset every video going back to the beginning of the year. So maybe I'll get some more. I just really want to go live sometime on YouTube. I think that would be fun. And but I can't do that until such a time as I get 1,000 viewers. So subscribe, whatever it is you need to do. I'm still going through the comic collection. I just pulled out some more comics that I need to file into the older boxes. So here, issue of Strange Tales, number 149. And Strange Tales, of course, had Doctor Strange in the back and the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the front. Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., which was nothing like the horrible television show. There's a later issue of Strange Tales where they introduced Brother Voodoo. Another Strange Tales with Nick Fury. I'm going to bag and board all these at some point. It's so hot up here, though. It must be really hot outside because I'm really sweating. Great artwork. Just tremendous. Here's an older comic from the 50s, Real Screen Comics. And it has exciting news on the back. And Neutro, the most astounding superhero of all. There's a coupon cut out of the back. Let's see what they were ordering. Oh, it's some kid that wanted these binoculars. I see. They wanted to spy on somebody. But they didn't order all these soldiers. Let's see. Yeah, Neutro is... there's Neutro. Very astounding. Oh, wow. Huh. I didn't even realize I had the first issue of New Gods. When they reprint this in those bound hardcover editions, they don't color it the same way with this psychedelic kind of red glow. I've seen some comparisons. Of course, it's not in great shape. It's got a fold going across there, but it's New Gods #1. This is when Jack Kirby went over to DC because he didn't like the treatment at Marvel. And then he went to DC where he wasn't treated that well there, really either. But he really did need that extra polish in the dialogue, especially, that Stan Lee provided, that really gave his characters the personality they needed. As Jack Kirby's got it all. He's got the drawing skills, he's got the ideas. He just as a writer of dialogue, he just needs a little help. Steve Ditko, another artist that left Marvel. This is Return of the Question. And Steve Ditko also, I think without Stan Lee's polishing of his dialogue, Spider-Man probably would have just sounded like a philosopher and of Ayn Rand. Another copy of the Munsters. If you've never seen the artwork inside of these Gold Key Munsters comics, it's kind of like this. And see, as a kid watching this, well, let's see how they color. See, when they made the Color Munsters theatrical feature, and in some other production pictures, I mean, I always pictured Lily as having white skin, and you know, watching a black and white show, that's just how I pictured it, and that's the way they colored her here. But they colored everyone green in the movie. Mutiny on the Bounty. Here's a women's lib romance comic cover. No man is my master. Mod Squad. Here's Millie the Model. Early Marvel. Here's a reprint. And then as the 60s came in, Millie the Model started to look more mod like this. And then this is how she was in the early 70s. She stuck around for the better part of several decades, 2-3 decades. The Weird World of J. Evil Scientist, Mr. and Mrs. J. Evil Scientist. Here's a Mr. Ed comic. I know the gentleman that used to run, or maybe still does, the Mr. Ed fan club. Big Bucks Burnett out of Dallas, out of Denton, runs a store called 14 Records. Some issues of Mr. Miracle. Again, Jack Kirby at DC, early 70s. Always liked this cover. Mr. Miracle. This is a really good cover too. Look at that detail. But this is about the time they pulled all the New Gods comics away from Jack Kirby, and he wound up doing Commandy, Last Boy on Earth, and other kinds of things. This is not a very good quality copy, but it's Mighty Mouse, and it was well loved by some child. And oh man, I could move this a little bit like so. Just giving you an idea of what the artwork looks like. Some kid looks like they got carried away with a pen a little bit. I like the artwork. Here's a later Mighty Mouse. This is from the 60s. And then there's also the Mighty Samson and the Mighty Crusaders, which was Archie's attempt at having a Justice League Avengers kind of group. with this tremendous ad on the back. This is a 80s attempt to revive it. This will give you a sense of time period. The Masters of the Universe video game, which is on, what system is that on? Mattel. Oh, Mighty Hercules, another copy. So I'll put this with the other Mighty Hercules, so I actually have 2 copies of that. And, of course, there's also the Mighty Heroes, a lot of mighty people. It has Mighty Mouse in it as well. Yep. This looks like a revival in 87. Where is it? I was looking to see if it was reprints of the old 60s comic, but no, it's someone's attempt to revive it. This is something... This is not a Disney comic, and there was a huge lawsuit over this. This is an underground comic with that is got some very naughty drawings in it. But Mickey Mouse Meets the Air Pirates. It was sold in head shops, stores that sold, you know, drug memorabilia. They would sell these underground comics, and I think I'm going to create a different section. I'm going to have my Silver Age and before, and I'm going to have my Bronze Age to today comics, and then I'm going to have another box for underground comics, just because it's a little jarring when they pop up as you're flipping through comics. This is, you notice at the top, very subtle things, like instead of Dell, it says Hell. Let me focus. And if you look at the back, and the question is, would someone mistake this for an actual Disney product? I mean, he's called Mickey Mouse, and you know, in all the old parodies, see, he's got dope there. In all the Mad magazine kind of parodies, they always change the name slightly, and that was how the copyright laws worked. Now, apparently, as long as someone realizes, okay, I'm not going to probably buy a real Mickey Mouse comic in a head shop, so they've the copyright laws are very different now, because now they can make X-rated movies with superhero characters that actually use their names and costumes, and there's no lawsuits. So here's Mickey Rat. He used to have a t-shirt with that design that I used to wear to high school. Yeah, Mickey Rat comics. Yeah, see, I buy them all the time. Yeah, I used to be a real consumer of underground comics. Metal Men. This is issue number... Wow, my eyes. Really? Does that say 2? Yeah, number 2. See, I can't... This is issue... Golly Moses. I've got all this bright light. I've got a fluorescent light down here. I'll show you in a minute my setup, my current setup. I got to go back to that desk I was sitting at a few months ago in some of those videos. That was a better setup. Metal Men, as I was talking about in one of the previous videos, is another great comic like Doom Patrol that I loved. I wasn't buying them off the stands, at least not these 60s ones. And yes, just as I thought when I showed you that Metal Men that I just got at Cosmic Comics, and I thought I already owned it, and here I do already own it, in much better condition. So, yeah, I bought a lot of these comics when I was collecting back in my younger days, junior high, high school, college. It's Batman showing off the latest model kits. These were called go-go checks, and they were on DC Comics for maybe a year, and they put them on there to distinguish their comics from the competition on spinner racks. I always loved this ad. And then, as the 60s wore on, DC tried to look a little bit more like Marvel, so they could be taken a little bit more seriously. This is 1968. And then, this is a reprint, but this is in the beginning of the Bronze Age. Metal Man was still coming out, and with reprints. But then this one I bought off the newsstand. This was actually from the 70s, as you can see by the 30-cent price tag. And this is when they brought the Metal Men back, and that's how I became aware of the Metal Men. And these are all my own childhood copies. So this would be, they're advertising that you could be in the Superman movie. That movie came out in 78. So this is probably about 77, 76. Oh, let's see what else I pulled out here. Metamorpho the Element Man. He was also fun. Oh, I've got 2 copies of this. I think I liked the cover so much. I must have thought, well, I don't know, I'm not sure if I have it. I better buy it anyway. Merrill's Marauders television show. Melvin the Monster, or Melvin Monster, is a great comic. Just a very strange, almost Kurtzman-like. This is from Dell. I love this drawing style. So, such a great representation of the 50s. Obviously, you know, attempting to go after the Archie market. Oh, but look at this cool ad. Okay, Captain Marvel Jr. The word is that Elvis Presley, when he was a little kid, read Captain Marvel Jr. and loved his look so much that he patterned his later look on this comic character, including the lightning bolt, which he had on his airplane and everything. BB guns were toys that boys enjoyed at one point in the distant past of our country. Oh man, I love this artwork. It's just so great and so intricate. You get your rocket ring. I remember picking this up off the spinner rack in San Antonio at Mr. M. The man thing is drawn brown like he's made out of sewage. Here's something not everyone notices. It says Marvel 2-on-1 instead of 2-in-1 at the top. Here's the thing with the Guardians of the Galaxy, or at least an earlier incarnation of the Guardians of the Galaxy, which I think were partly introduced in the post-credit sequence of the last Guardians movie. This is something I got when we were living in Germany in 1970, 71, and I used to have, I don't know where it went, a little plastic vinyl figure, either of him or him. As one, I know it had a red shirt on. I don't know what happened, and it's got some of my childhood artwork in it. But it's this is something, you know, that I poured over as a little kid, and it's German, and maybe if someone out there knows a little bit. Oh boy, I wrote something there, something. Let's see. It says, in this part of the book you color. It looks like I wrote that. Okay, so yeah, usually they colored it, and then some parts there they expect the kids to color it. And it is in German. I don't know if I wrote that or my mother wrote that. It looks like maybe I asked my mother to write that as part of some obsessive compulsive something or other. This is a beat up Hulk copy that came from one of those Wounded Wonders bundles. You'd pay like $7, $8 and you'd get 50 beat up comics that are torn up, and usually you could still read them. Sometimes there's horrible shit, like stuff rather, like somebody cut out something, probably the Hulk. Terrible. Superboy. More Superboy. Got to get this all filed together in the Silver Age. I just keep finding different stashes in different places. This one isn't in too good a shape. Oh, Spoof. Spoof was a Marvel parody book done in the very early 70s before they started their crazy magazine. Marie Severin cover. Spoof. Wonderful cover of Spooky. More Spooky. And this copy of Spooky Haunted House was once owned by Sandra. I think I own several comics that used to belong to her. Here's a pulp magazine, which I don't have a lot of pulps. I really don't. Here's Hulk 117. Hot Stuff, Little Devil. This is beginning of the Bronze Age. And this is definitely Bronze Age, 25 cents. And you can tell by the cover, very, very 70s looking. Hot Stuff again. Hot Stuff. More Hot Stuff, but someone wrote on this. Drat. This is a childhood copy of Hot Stuff, and what I'm about to show you was, you know, I born in '65. When I started collecting comics, the Silver Age was over. Wow, I look awful on camera. I look greasy. And so when a comic company opened up about 74 called Atlas Comics, I thought, well, now I finally can be in on the ground floor. Because if I had just been born 10 years earlier in 55 instead of 65, I could have been there for the dawn of Marvel Comics and the first Fantastic Four and Spider-Man. I would have been 7, 8 years old. I would have bought all those comics. But I was born 10 years too late. So I missed all of that. So I thought, now's my chance. I can be in on the ground floor with issue #1 of all these new titles, which were all basically Marvel ripoffs. And I later learned it was an attempt by the former publisher of Marvel, who was upset that his son wasn't allowed to take over. Instead, Stan Lee took over. He said, "Well, I could start my own company," and he used the name Atlas, which is what Marvel was in the 50s. And then he actually hired Stan Lee's brother, Larry Lieber. Stan Lee's real last name is Lieber, and he to helm it. So this line of comics came out, and they had cool ads. And this was a Conan ripoff, a barbarian who's missing his lower jaw, so he has an iron jaw. This is a Neil Adams cover. They got a lot of great artists to come over because they paid better, and maybe they let them keep their original artwork. I don't know, but regardless, the Atlas line only lasted a little while. Actually, a couple of copies of issue 2, issue 3. But the problem was they didn't sell, and by issue 4 they pretty much reinvented all the heroes that they had started, and this is about where everything ended. They actually hired they also did black and white horror comics, kind of like Warren, but they hired someone to, I think what they did is they hired, oh, I got food all over me. The comic struck me as a little weird when I was a kid because the language and the violence was more intense than the other comics of their competitors, and apparently they gave a lot of trouble. The Comics Code was all over them, because what they did is they put someone that was used to publishing the Warren black and white comics, which were magazine form, and you could get away with a lot more. They had him helm the color comics, and then they had someone that was used to color comics helm the black and white wing of Atlas, and it was all a little backwards, but they're a fond memory. Now someone's bought the rights to all those characters and is going to flop magnificently trying to make movies out of them, because nobody knows who they are. Here's some Italian comic, Terror. Probably not very appropriate, lots of violence, but this is oh my gosh, I shouldn't be showing that on camera. No, never mind. This is interesting. I thought I'd show it to you. This is a local publication, and I used to pick up copies when I went to the movie theater back in the 70s, and I have multiple copies. And it was just when I'd go to the Forum Mall, Forum 303, this is when Meteor came out. They had this publication, and it had ads for all the new movies and reviews, and about this new movie called Halloween. Just reviews of all the movies, and I was, you know, really into movies, still am. It's a theater directory of all the local theaters. So I thought I'd show you this. Man, I picked up a lot of copies. I may have more copies than anyone on the planet of this issue, except maybe whoever put it out. This is another issue I've got. And this is from December of whatever year 1941 came out. Was that about 81? The Jerk. That's when Star Trek the movie was coming out. Let's see, is there anything here of interest? Then they had an issue with the, boy, I love that cover. I mean, that painting for 1941. I mean, it's just a beautiful looking painting. And the soundtrack was amazing. And the casting was great. It had John Belushi in it. It just wasn't funny at all. And that was like when I started to realize that maybe Steven Spielberg isn't perfect. Because at that point you thought Steven Spielberg can do no wrong. He'd made Jaws and Close Encounters of the Third Kind. But now I realize a lot of those great people maybe aren't as great as you think. You know, it's like you're only allowed a certain amount of talent, and then when you run out, you know, like Paul McCartney or Francis Ford Coppola, all these great people that made all these masterpieces, and now, you know, what happened to them? Oh, this is that movie Twinkle Twinkle Killer Kane, which I think was also called The Ninth Configuration. They never could fully market that. The Howling. Here's a back cover. Oh, this is great. Galaxina's on the cover of this issue. The back cover, an ad for Scanners. Oh, this is a radio station everybody listened to in high school. Eagle 97. There's also the Zoo and Q102. Anything else worth seeing? Yeah, heavy metal. A lot of memories, movie memories from that time period. So these are basically the size of comic books. So I'm gonna put them in the comic box with them. Dang, this lighting gets hot. Okay, let me show you what I got. So this is all just Rube Goldberg style. I put this old 50s light here in front of me, but it's kind of yellowish. That's what was making my videos yellow. So that goes off. And then I have this old, man, things are all effed up in here. I gotta clean. There's that. Okay. So, plus the lamp from that projector behind me is also hot. So, I guess with that, I'm going to try posting this video with my new settings as recommended by the Crypt Keeper of Castle Hills, and not make it blocked for viewing by younger people. And then maybe YouTube will recommend me, because I'm trying to get more subscribers. So if you could subscribe, if you're watching this and haven't subscribed, or if you're even interested in the channel, that is, or if you could you know, let people know. I just really would like to get subscribers. Not that I'm trying to make money or anything. I just want to have fun with YouTube. Since it looks like we're going to be quarantined for the next who knows how many years, might as well have some fun. Okay, last thing I got to do is shut off this projector. And I guess I'll head out.